Free money for everybody. I'm giving away free money, all the money you want for absolutely free. So the big question is this: how is a tiny percentage of entrepreneurs blow the pack away? What are they doing that we're not? I asked myself that question for 10 years. I was failing forward and getting sick of it. I wanted to build a coaching business, but couldn't make any headway. So I started studying it. I realized that the world's most elite marketers, entrepreneurs, and gurus were all using the same 4-step system. I call it the authority factor. On the show, I'm going to prove to you that the authority factor worked for them and it'll work for you. My name is Ken Dunn. Let's get started. Hey, it's Ken, and no, we're not talking about giving away free money today. We're going to talk about pattern interrupts. Pattern interrupts are those single thought things that you do, say, and act that stop other people in their tracks and get them paying attention to you. Hey, look, I think that one of the biggest challenges that people have in today's digital marketing world, if you're trying to build any type of online business, is just getting people to pay attention. People's attention in general is like gone. You know, there's so much going on online. There's so many missing pieces. There's so many moving parts. And people have so much happening in their lives today that getting somebody to pay attention to you is a lot harder than it sounds. And, even the title of this show today, I had to do that, right? Because this is not about free money, but I had to get your attention. And that's probably like the most classic way to get people's attention online, is to just dangle money in front of them. But that in itself has its own issues. So what I want to do is just kind of walk through, how do you get people to pay attention? Exactly what is a pattern interrupt? And how do you start to use them in everything that you're doing? Because look, if you're trying to build any type of business online today, you have to do it in the social and the digital space, right? You have to do it on social media. That's the game that we all play. And if anybody thinks that social media is going away or not going to be as important in the future, then you got to pull your head out of the sand, because that's just not the case. So how do you get people to pay attention? I have done many shows on this channel about creating content and the content loop and how to do it easily. But the reality is, you first have to decide you're going to become a publisher. You have to decide that you're going to take the time to figure out where your ideal client is, what platforms they're using. You got to be dead serious about what you're doing so you can stick with it, because this is definitely not an overnight success process, but this is the only process that works. Now, once you decide to do that, you get in the habit of creating content. The next thing you want to do is start asking yourself, what are the things that I can do at the beginning of videos, at the beginning of posts, and in all of the words that I use that really help people to stop what they're doing and pay attention to what I'm offering? Those are called pattern interrupts. Now, there's lots of different ways to do that. So I guess the very first thing we want to talk about is, like, what is your ideal client or the person you're after? What are they doing now? And that goes beyond like what social platform we're on. So that's the first thing you ask yourself, right? We've talked about that already. What social platform they're on. The second thing you want to ask yourself is, what are they doing on those platforms? What are they involved in? What are their normal habits? Because if you want to get them to pay attention to you, you have to know first, what are their normal habits? What are they doing on social media, so that you can break those habits? Luckily, the one thing that everybody's doing is scrolling, isn't it? Now, what scrolling actually looks like depends on what the platform you're on. If it's on Facebook or Instagram, it could literally just be a mindless scroll. And how you get people to pay attention is you have to interrupt that mindless scroll. So essentially what happens is that first 5 seconds of a video, or that very first line in a social media post, those two things are the most important parts of any engagement attempt that you create. So that's the very first thing I'd want you to really be clear on. That's what I think about all the time is, okay, when I'm writing any type of copy for a post, that first line has to give them a thought that's going to stop them and make them want to pay attention to the post. The video has to do something that separates it from the rest of the videos that are out there and offer them something that they're looking for. I think this is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make is when I take a look at people that are trying to get started and trying to build the following, they don't really pay attention to the pattern interrupt. So you take a look at their social media posts and the very first couple lines of a post, it's like a run-on paragraph. What you have to ask yourself is the mindset of the person that is scrolling. And you and I both know is because you've done it too, right? If they're scrolling, they're kind of zoning out. So they're not really paying attention to anything and their mind is distracted onto anything else. So if they're scrolling through content and they see the first couple lines of your social media post and it's like the one big run-on paragraph, they're not even going to take the time to read it. So my first tip to you is make sure that it's a single sentence that doesn't take up the whole character space of that first line. And the second thing is what you want to do. Well, what you really want to do is go back. If you've never created a client journey, go find the shows on this channel that talk about creating a client journey and do that. Because what you really need to understand is who is it you're creating this post for and what is their current state of reality. Like what does their life look like right now? And write that out on paper because those are your pattern interrupts. So let me give you an example. If you were building a weight loss coaching business or anything like that, you want to write who's your ideal client, your perfect client on a piece of paper, and you want to write out things like, they're in their mid 40s, they've had children, they're 30 pounds overweight, it's probably baby fat. In other words, fat they're still carrying from when they were kids. They don't have time for themselves. They're not eating properly. They know they shouldn't be eating junk food or fast food. They want to lose weight. They don't know where to start. So you write all this stuff out. And those become the first lines in the social media post. That's why you got to do it. And those are the pattern interrupts. So the secret to getting somebody to pay attention and interrupting the pattern that they have right now is answering a question in that first sentence or throwing their problem in their face with a perceived solution. And it's if the masters, this is the way they do everything. On my screen right now, I'm actually just ironically I'm looking at a post that Russell Brunson did. It's just a post on his page, but he's got a perfectly illustrated pattern interrupt. The first sentence of his post is no success is achieved without failure. And I'll tell you why this is an amazing pattern interrupt. First of all, everybody is looking for more success. Secondly, he's affirming for people that even though they're feeling like a failure right now and things aren't going right, it's okay. So he's redirecting the blame for how they're feeling right now. And instantly that sentence is going to make them want to read the next sentence. That's what your pattern interrupt is all about. And it'll change everything for you. Now let's talk quickly about video for a second. You'll notice if you're looking at any type of social media advertisement now, people are going to incredible lengths in their videos in the first 5 seconds to get people to pay attention. Some of the more classic things people are doing as pattern interrupts is putting really bright colors, headers and footers, tops and bottoms, blocks on their videos. So they're turning a rectangular video they shot into a square video, and they're putting these little blocks across the top, and you overlay those with words and images because that in itself is a pattern interrupt that differentiates it from the last 10 posts they saw or the next 10 posts they saw. And then it's doing something, saying something, or creating a view in that first 5 seconds that is completely different than anything else that they're seeing in the feed. If they're pattern interrupts. Now, I could literally spend the next 3 hours just talking to you about what should happen in a proper ad or a proper social media post to get people to pay attention to you. But until you actually get in the habit of creating pattern interrupts in your posts, in your comments, in your videos, whatever you're doing, you're really going to struggle getting people to pay attention to you. So just to review what I just said, take the time to really figure out who you want to communicate with and write out a massive list of all the things they're going wrong, what their life is like right now, what they're looking for, what they're hoping for, what they're praying for, and use those bite-sized morsels, those individual points in the first lines of all your posts. Make those bold statements to them at the beginning of your videos. Use overlays in your videos that stop people in their tracks and prove to them that the rest of the video is going to be worth their time. Pattern interrupts are the key to building any modern business on social media. Hey friends, it's Ken. Thanks for being here with me today. Listen, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you follow it. You know what? Like, I'm going to promise to give you amazing content all the time. You just have to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, put my content in your life, and I guarantee you, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and trouble. Hey, and on that topic, if you're following me, you're a coach, a consultant, you're somebody that wants to build an online business, helping other people accomplish something you've already done. And I want to give you the fast track. I've been studying the art of building an online coaching business for 20 years, and I've invested millions of dollars with some of the biggest coaches in the world. And you know what I found? They were all following the exact same system. It's a framework that I call the authority factor. It's a 4-step system that I want to share with you. And if you follow this system, I can't even begin to tell you what the future has in store for you. But I can promise you this one thing: you're going to get paid helping others. So go to authorityfactor.info. I put the information in the notes below. It's an amazing online live workshop that I'm doing right now, and I'm going to show you exactly how to build a coaching business the fastest way possible, with the most revenue, and avoiding the most mistakes.